Hi everyone, and welcome to Optimizing Your Application Experiences. Applications are your business. Your users expect the best possible digital experience plus constant and consistent improvements in quality and in performance. Well, that's going to take smart planning and rapid deployment, and it's going to take reliable operations, and that is exactly what today's session is going to deliver for all of you. You're about to see how you can support your users by leveraging the same instrumentation and methodologies to implement a continuous improvement model. We are going to share real-world use cases on how to gain full visibility across your entire network, your routing and device layers, and your applications. And you'll learn how to quickly identify, prioritize, and rectify performance issues that are impacting your application performance. We have got a great program ahead of us, featuring Linda Tong, VP and GM of AppDynamics, plus Mohit Lad, VP and GM of ThousandEyes. But first, we're going to kick off our story with Liz Centone, Chief Strategy Officer and General Manager for Applications at Cisco. Liz, take it away.
Applications are the business. Applications are the way end users consume products and services. In fact, if you think about this, over the last 12 months, I think it'd be fair to say that our usage of applications has gone up pretty significantly. If you look at newer applications, they're totally being built with leveraging services and data from multiple clouds, from SaaS properties, from on-premises, from the edge. You can say an application is no longer really an app, it's a mesh of many services. But when you think about it, is in our environments, we have a lot of traditional applications as well. Now, some of these are being refactored. Some are staying exactly the same because it just works. So it's fair to say that in any business environment, there's a mix of these applications across the hybrid and multi-cloud environments. Now, since applications are the business, delivering the best user experience means being able to address issues before they come up, or at least being able to address it in near real time. So we need to build upon the specific domain monitoring tools that we have and get to full stack observability. So we can break down the silos between the teams so that they work and talk together, and everyone, every single one plays a part in being able to deliver the best user experience and have the biggest impact to the business.
All right, thank you so much, Liz. Great setup. Breaking down these silos between your app ops, your dev ops, your net ops, your sec ops, your infrastructure ops means having total end-to-end understanding of your full stack performance and making the most of the insights that you discover through that performance. So let's bring in Linda Tong to show us how we get there. Linda, all yours.
I'm so excited to be here. Applications are now synonymous with the business. And when your applications have performance issues, those issues impact your bottom line. Understanding what's going on in your application is infinitely more complex. But we can help you connect the dots up and down that stack, from the business metrics, through the user experience, into the application, and into the deepest levels of your infrastructure. Because what you need right now as a business is full stack observability. Say a mobile food ordering app. And you're famous for your wood-fired pizza, because who doesn't love pizza? And let's say it's lunchtime right now, and your business is picking up. With AppDynamics, you can easily visualize the health of your application. We can show you your key metrics and KPIs. Here, you can see the volume of customers that are engaging with you, specifically around how much revenue is flowing through your app right now. And it's a lot because it's lunchtime and people are hungry. With Business IQ, we can also take a look at other key metrics associated with your application. We can show you the performance, and here you're seeing this healthy conversion rate of people moving through your funnel, buying pizza. Your infrastructure on the right here is looking really great. So this lunchtime hour is looking fantastic. There are no performance issues, a lot of revenues flowing through. Your customers who are hungry are going to get their pizzas really quickly. But let's be real. Not everything works according to plan. And when things don't go as expected, that's a big problem. And so what I want to talk about is what happens when things go wrong. And in this case, you can see order volume is dropping. And looking at this dashboard, you can see high abandonment rates, which is incredibly concerning because this is a significant amount of revenue that's now at risk. And what's real here is your customers are being impacted. And so I want to help you make sure you understand how you can identify this problem, solve it quickly, and ultimately create a great experience for your customers. So looking at this, the first thing I'm going to do is jump into AppDynamics Experience Journey Maps. And because I saw those high drop-off rates, what I really want to know is what's happening through the user journey. Here, I can get an aggregate view of how my customers are experiencing this application, and I can look at how those different steps of their experience are overlaid with user experience and performance data. And specifically, looking at this user journey, I can see this unusually high drop-off point at checkout. What's concerning is my customers are obviously unable to order pizza right now. This is going to create a massive impact to my brand and my reputation. And knowing the low switching costs and fleeting customer loyalty, and frankly, how hungry my customers probably are, this means they're probably going to abandon me and go order pizza somewhere else. So let's fix this problem really quickly so it doesn't impact any other customers. The way I'm going to do this, now that I know that checkout is probably the issue, I'm going to look at this in Dash Studio. With Dash Studio, I can look at the key metrics and the health data associated with this checkout transaction. And I also happen to know that this mobile app is using a third-party payment processing solution. And so I'm starting to wonder, is that part of the cause? Looking at it, I can see here with AppDynamics that there specifically looks to be an HTTP response time issue. I can see this response time is increasing significantly here on the chart, and I can see it associated with a drop-off in these payments too at the same time. So I want to dig a little bit deeper onto these two elements. And when I look at them, I can look at this app payment response time increasing with AppDynamics. It's also associated with a network spike I'm seeing that's coming from ThousandEyes. And that network spike is showing this increase in latency in terms of how this payment processing gateway is able to access my application data center. And this clearly indicates that there's probably a network issue at play here. And it's actually probably having to do with the external internet path to this payment processing gateway. So the insight I'm looking here at this bottom chart here is really unique. This is a newly launched capability between AppDynamics and ThousandEyes, where we're creating this native integration that's overlaying AppDynamics data with ThousandEyes data so that you can better understand the complete application experience through the end-to-end observability cycle. And this shows you both internal and external data so that you can more effectively troubleshoot and get to root cause. Looking at this though, because I don't want to stop here. I've got a lot of customers who are still really hungry, and I've got some pizza that needs to get ordered. Now that I know that this is a network issue, I want to go solve this problem and better understand what's wrong. And to get there, I want to go ahead and jump into ThousandEyes seamlessly right into this problem so I can troubleshoot and answer why. I can just click here and easily jump into ThousandEyes without thinking anything else. But I also want to phone a friend. So Mohit, can you give me a little bit of help here? I think it's a network issue.
Thanks, Linda. And you see that there was a drop in checkouts. And Linda talked about a potential network issue. Now, if you jump into ThousandEyes in this view, we can quickly see that there was actually a spike in network latency. And not only was there a spike in network latency to this payment service provider from the application stack, we can also see very quickly that the packet loss between these two endpoints, between the application edge and the payment service provider, is actually still 0%. So it's not like the network has seen some massive disruption that is causing some increase in latency, but something has happened, and that's caused the latency to go up. And instead of just telling you something has happened, we want to jump in and actually tell you what's going on. Now, the beauty of ThousandEyes is like a DVR, we can go back and forth and look at before and after. So we're going to go back in time and look at the before picture when everything was good. And what this picture tells you is what's sitting between your application edge and the payment service provider. So on the left is your data center where you're hosting your application. On the extreme right is your application, is your payment service provider, which you're connecting to. And everything in between is the set of hops that you have to go through on the public internet. So if I just zoom in a bit more, I can quickly see that this payment service provider is hosted in the public cloud in Ashburn. And any disruption from this application edge to this service provider along the path would be caught by ThousandEyes. In this case, everything is great, and you're having a good checkout experience. Now what I'm going to do is, like the DVR, fast forward to when the issue started because I have a good understanding of the baseline. When I fast forward to where the issue is and the latency has spiked, I still don't see any major network loss, right? I see some reds along the path, which are high latency links. But more importantly, I see the endpoint now is in Singapore instead of Ashburn. Now that's a much longer distance to cover to reach your payment service provider. And that's what is adding a high amount of latency to the experience. And this is not just about the latency. This is also the fact that you've now introduced a lot more hops along the way from your edge to the payment service providers. And this means a lot more failure points that could potentially degrade this experience. The most exciting thing about all of this is really breaking these silos that exist in organizations today. Not just internal to your organization where your app teams and network teams and security teams work together, but also external to the organization. As in this case, right, you're working with your cloud providers or your third-party service providers. And you can truly bring all of these teams internally and externally together into one virtual team. Now that the problem is fixed, we see the traffic picking up again. And thankfully, there's no more revenue at risk, which is great news. But if you look at the right part of this image, what we are starting to see is some early signs of trouble. We're starting to see some stress on CPU and memory, which is natural because now you have more people going through that checkout experience. You have more traffic actually starting to hit your website. And thankfully, it hasn't created any revenue at risk yet, but it could in the next few seconds or minutes if you don't take action.
Staying proactive, fixing that problem before the disruption occurs means identifying the parts of your application that you either no longer need or that are running too slowly. Now, you can use that same data and that same approach to optimize your apps so you're not just remediating issues, you are advancing that application's performance and digital experience for the customer. You can draw on data from every part of your service delivery chain to get meaningful, actionable recommendations. We're all living and operating in this evolving world of continuous integration and deployment. Meeting customer expectations means delivering optimal applications. That takes total visibility across your network, your applications, your routing, your device layers. We only get one shot to impress a consumer. One bad experience, that customer is going to go looking for a different digital service. So let's jump back into our pizza delivery app. Mohit asked how our restaurant can stay proactive and fix the problem before the disruption occurs. I want to go back to Liz for that answer and for an overview of Intersite Workload Optimizer. Liz, back to you.
I can actually help here. And for that, I'm going to go into Intersite. So what you're seeing on this page, if you look at it on the left-hand side, you have the dependency graph for the fine baked pizza application. On the right-hand side of the screen, you actually see, more so in the center, the top services for this application. And then more so towards the middle left of the screen, you see a bunch of pending actions, and they're grouped together by categories. So think about this as a list of entities that fine baked pizza application is dependent on. So it looks at it and says, it's dependent on this set of containers, VMs, storage, the host. It actually, what it does is the way we build this out is we make API calls to every single entity that's on here. We make those calls to AppD, to the VMs, to containers, to storage, and the host as well, right? Every single set of component or entity that supports the fine baked pizza application. And when it makes the calls to each one of these entities, it's able to find out its nearest dependency. And it collects, it correlates, it connects all of this data and builds out this dependency graph. And you can do this no matter where those entities sit. They can sit on-prem, could be sitting on-prem, partially in the cloud. It could be everything in the cloud as well. So you can take different slices of this as well. And what Intersite Workload Optimizer does is it has a pretty powerful recommendation engine as well. And what the recommendation engine does is it crunches a massive set of data. It pulls in data around performance, around efficiency constraints. It pulls in historical data, and it can actually proactively flag issues as well. And so that's what you're seeing here when you look at this. Around the circles on each one of these entities, some of them have yellows and some of them have reds. And what's staring me right in the face right now is the virtual machines that are partially green, some yellow, and definitely a red out there. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go check out what exactly is that red related to. So if I click on the virtual machine out there, what it pops up is that one of the VMs that's on there is actually running hot because of memory congestion issues. And there's a recommendation on there in terms of moving it from one host, which is a HyperFlex node 1, and moving it probably to a HyperFlex node 12 on the same cluster. And here, just to pop it up so that you can see it a lot more, before you actually take action, it actually shows you the before and after, right? So if you look at it before, what you're seeing is that the reason it's running hot is because if you look at HyperFlex node 1, we have a fixed memory of about 190.7 GB. And so the memory utilization is about 83.1%. And the recommendation is, look, there's a HyperFlex node 12. The memory is about the same, that's fixed, but it's running at a utilization of only 56.6%. And the recommendation is to move this VM from HyperFlex node 1 to 12. And that way, on node 1, the memory utilization falls to 68.6%. And in the new node, on node 12, it actually only goes up to 71.1%. So what the recommendation engine is suggesting is that make these changes right now so the infrastructure is also flexing along with the needs of the application. Because as more users come on and order more pizza, you don't want to get to the point where this crashes or falls apart. And here you can actually automate these actions, or you can just manually take action as well. Now I'm going to go back and take a look at the AppD dashboard. And like you can see is everything here is green. So what we've done is we really have made the infrastructure dynamic so that it meets the needs of an ever-changing application. Okay, let me give you a quick recap of what you saw. Linda talked about the fact that with AppD Experience Journey, it gets you a view on application performance. So you get to focus on what matters most, the impact to your users and your business. Now with AppD integrated with ThousandEyes, we've now expanded the visibility into the network and definitely into the internet, bringing along with it the context of user and applications so you can get to root cause analysis much faster and again, deliver the most optimal experience and make sure it doesn't impact your top line at all or minimizes the impact to your top line. And then I talked about Intersite Workload Optimizer. I showed you the dependency graph. It gives you a view of every single entity in there, every single component that your application is dependent on. And it's got a really powerful recommendation engine that crunches a bunch of data and is able to actually give you recommendations, flag issues, and give you the recommendations on how to address those issues before they impact the application experience. So in a way, you're making the infrastructure flexible so it can meet the needs of an ever-changing application.
Great work, Liz. And I want to thank Linda and Mohit as well for such a compelling customer story. We hope you are inspired and excited by these integrations that Cisco is using to build full-stack observability and application optimization experiences. You can learn more about FSO at this Cisco URL. And if we can support or partner with you in any way, please do not hesitate to reach out. On behalf of Liz, Linda, and Mohit, we want to thank Microsoft, and our thanks go out to all of you for joining today's session.